Gustavo, good to see you in Beijing.
Good to see you, Ms. Tian. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to see you. We heard a lot from the Chinese premier as to what are some of the latest economic policies coming from China, especially for international investors. Now, you have been working your company in China for a long time. Tell me more about the latest policy. What would that mean for you?
Look, we've been here for more than 50 years.
Congratulations.
Operating successfully in China, so we are very proud of the relationship that we built over these years. And I was here in November, and now this time around, I'm feeling the sentiment has completely changed, a lot more optimism. Certainly the measures that the government is taking to promote consumption, to increase the fiscal support, we are seeing as we talk to our clients locally that it's creating good momentum, which is good for us at the end as a supplier of choice for the Chinese steel mills.
Minor mineral, always the most important component. Everybody in the world is talking about it. Now, as someone who is in the center of everything, what do you make of the sustainability of our global supply chains?
Yeah, so this is super important. It's a very timely conversations that we are having with all of our clients. I think there is, if you think about the next century, the critical minerals are going to be what the oil was for the prior century, right? So being able to supply those minerals, those critical minerals, is going to be essential. Not only copper, nickel, but also high-grade iron ore, because iron ore is also the high-grade iron ore we consider also as a critical mineral. So it's super important. It's a very timely conversations. All the countries are very focused on, and we are not different.
But at the same time, we see some of the unpredictabilities, as you know, in the world, probably better than anybody else. There's issue of tariffs, issues of protectionism, there's issue of geopolitics. So, Gustavo, if I were you, I would worry every day, 24 hours. But how are you trying to digest this and try to come up with the things that you can do? Yeah,
look, we have to keep an eye on the price. And I think for us, the most important thing is to help our clients to decarbonize, right? So if you look at, for example, at the steel industry, about 8 to 10% of the global emissions are caused by steel. So it's a fundamental issue for our generation to address. So we've been very focused on that mandate. Our goal here is to help our clients to decarbonize, look for ways to help them to develop products that have low carbon intensity. And we think this is the right strategy, medium to long term. So regardless of the volatility that we are in, the long-term perspective remains very constructive, because I think we all need to understand that this is an issue, for example, that needs to be addressed by our generation.
So the mission is clear, but the road to get there can be tricky or flexible.
Yeah, I think volatility is certainly the name of the game. I think all the companies, including ourselves, have to understand that we are going to live in a more volatile world. So you have to be efficient, you have to be technologically advanced, you have to bring new products to your clients, be creative, be more digitally integrated. Those elements are fundamental for you to create long-term value. But the direction, I think, I keep saying to our stakeholders, even in Brazil, the ship has sailed. I think the direction towards a lower carbon economy, even given all of the rhetoric that we hear, hasn't changed. I was with my clients here in China. Everybody's moving in that direction. So it's great to hear that people are not changing their plans.
China, to many extent in that regard, is a very encouraging example, as you have identified, not only in terms of green technology, but also and especially the applications of that.
Certainly.
Yeah. How is that cooperation working so far?
Yeah, very much. I think China has decided to move towards a low carbon economy in a very decisive way. Every single client that we talk to, they are very focused on that. And for Vale, this is music to my ears, because that's what we do. I mean, what we offer to our clients is the ability to decarbonize their production processes by offering low carbon products like briquettes, other solutions that we've been able to develop over the years to help them decarbonize. So it's great. This trip, this time around, I'm feeling very good, because I'm seeing the two countries and Vale plus our Chinese clients very much aligned on that vision. And I think we're going to play a very fundamental role in helping them to get to that future.
in supply chain sense or in other sense?
In supply chain, but we are advancing our relationship. It's moving beyond just being a supplier of commodity, but also to look for new business models, developing new hubs where we can produce, for example, green steel in the future, initially with natural gas, but in the future hydrogen. So China, for example, we've seen this with all of the clients, is pushing very hard the hydrogen agenda, which we believe it's going to be the future for steel production. It's going to take time. It has to be more economic. A lot of things need to happen. But in the future, we're going to have a fully green steel being produced. And we think our company can help our Chinese clients to get there.
The old sense, Gustavo, as you know, was technology coming from outside into China, and let's do joint production in China for the Chinese market. But now things are going reverse to a certain extent. Technology is being developed here, tested here in this massive market for global companies so that they can benefit people elsewhere in the world. So I know Vale is a great example of that. Tell us one or two examples how you are doing this, take advantage of this.
Yeah, there are several examples. For example, one of the things we are working on is a fully autonomous digital mine. The future of mine is a future where the trucks, the equipments are fully automated.
Fascinating.
You won't have any person sitting in a mine on work, so it's safer, it's more efficient. And a lot of our Chinese suppliers now, Vale buying from them, are actually implementing technologies that we are using in our own operations. So you see examples like that every day for us to go to that future, which is a more productive, efficient, safer, greener operations that can serve our clients.
Now I know why you have lights in your eyes, why you do not worry 24 hours a day as a CEO. Tell me more also about how do you see the potential with China? Because as you said, green is certainly one area, but as we all know, artificial intelligence, represented by DeepSeek and other things, are also developing really fast, and plus application of that. As you know, this market is well known for applications. So what would that mean for a critical mineral company like yours?
Look, China has been on the frontier of many things, including digital innovative solutions, and several of them that we are using in our own operations. One example, for example, is the development of new mines. Probably one of the hardest challenges that we face on the critical minerals agenda is not demand. The demand is secured, it's growing everywhere.
Yes.
The issue is to develop new mines. It's taking longer. Today, it takes twice as much to develop a new mine than use it to take 10 years ago.
Really?
So the challenge today is actually supply, the ability, so technology, AI to look at a particular, for example, deposit and see the best way to develop, be faster in terms of accessing the market. So that's where you're going to use technology to help humans to get, to develop in a faster way, which then we can serve our clients. So a lot of opportunities for us to leverage technologies, AI in our own operations and in the relationship with our clients.
What about the other areas? People are talking about the Global South. It's not just an abstract concept anymore. In a changing world, people want to say, what kind of relationship do we have with Global South? What about companies coming from Global South? So what is your take on this brand, quote unquote, and also coming from a company, global company, based in one of the well-known Global South economies?
Yeah, look, we are, it's a fast and growing market if you think about bigger populations, enormous opportunity for development, for GDP growth. A lot of innovation going on there. And actually a strong relationship over the years. Brazil and China, for example, despite the distance between the two countries, we are friends and we've been doing things together for many, many decades, right? And China, for example, has been the most relevant trading partner for Brazil for the last 15 years. So the opportunity for those countries to continue to work together, to share long-term value, share long-term investment, cross-invest in each other, because there are things where China has competitive advantage and others where Brazil has competitive advantage. Joining forces will create long-term value for both nations and for all the nations in the Global South.
Of course, Brazil is based in South America. It is closer to different kind of centers of the world. So how does that work for you to make sure there is great balance for the development of a company?
Yeah, so we are well positioned. Brazil naturally has very strong relationship globally. We are friends with everybody. We are actually a big supplier of agro businesses, mining businesses, minerals, critical minerals. So we want to continue to be open for business and continue to work with our partners to be able to drive long-term value.
There's a lot of talk here among the business leaders. I'm sure you're part of that conversation as to how to communicate with policymakers around the world to make sure the policies are pro-growth, pro for development, pro jobs.
Yeah.
So I want to also ask you about that. You are in a critical industry. You're also in a critical part of the world. So tell me more about how do you think the business leader's role should be in terms of communicating with policymakers with the right policies out?
Yeah, policy is fundamental. I think in our industry, for example, the support or the policy support for us to be able to bring the critical minerals to the market is fundamental. To my prior point, the issue today that we have is less about demand, but more about supply. So making sure we maintain that global market for commodities, that we are helping countries to accelerate the development of critical minerals, that we have a global policy that accelerates the decarbonization of the industries. Those things are fundamental. If we are not aligned in addressing the fundamental issue that we have in terms of CO2 emissions, we're going to have a problem. Right? So I think it's fundamental that policymakers understand and take actions to support the supply of critical minerals, the relationship between countries, a carbon market where we can integrate and create the right incentives for company to decarbonize.
But you're so important. I'm sure everybody's running after you and say, we want more from you, we want more from you. So how would you balance your future plan? Do what, with whom, how much?
Yeah, look, we want to serve our clients, so we are working hard as fast as we can to bring all the minerals that are necessary in a responsible way, both environmentally and socially. Those are two very important agendas for Vale. So we are very focused on that. And we are here to help our clients at the end to achieve their strategic objectives.
Gustavo, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. I appreciate the opportunity.